All right. Welcome to the Fry My Calamari Show. Trying out some new things tonight. Trying to stream on a couple platforms, two platforms at once tonight. We're going to be on Twitch and YouTube. So we'll see how that's going to go. Let's get my screen on. There we go. Welcome everybody to the show. Got a lot going on tonight. We got a lot going on in the world, and I would love to focus on that. I would love to get away from this tea of Mr. Ethan Klein and his continued crash out, his continued weird, strange behavior, his parasocial attacks on Hassan, and then he does the whole flipperoo. How come this guy won't stop talking about me? Oh, because you keep attacking him, and he's forced to defend himself because you have an audience of millions of people, and when you constantly attack somebody, it causes problems. And then it's the also the bigger issue at hand, which is it's the Israel Palestine conflict, if you want to call it that. Most people would call it a genocide, um, and that's really the issue that's going on here. Is let's get out of our starting screen here. We are officially fired up. If I can even figure out what the hell I'm doing. Okay, I'm clicking on the right thing, but it's doing the wrong thing. Try to pull this up. Oh, it's because it's over here. I forget how to use my own dual monitor system. All right, so Ethan Klein, what's the real issue? What's the real issue? What started this crash out? Well, after October 7th and the events that took place, the attack on Israel, and then the response from Israel, which everyone feared was going to be a genocide, and of course those fears have turned out to be true. And so, what exactly is it that happened after that? Well, what happened was Ethan's audience, who has always been, or at least in the recent history, in the last 5 years at least, has been they've been cultivating a liberal audience, or a left-leaning audience, if you will. And then he decided to start a show up with Hassan Piker called Leftovers, another leftism based show. So it shouldn't be too surprising that he had a left leaning audience. Well, that audience turned on him around October 7th because of the way he was describing what was going on, the words he was using, and the way he was describing it mimicked and copied the language that was coming from the worst people discussing it. And I'm not just talking about commentators, I'm talking about like parroting what the Israeli government is putting out. And then the interesting part about that is, on one hand, he is claiming to be, he's claiming to be, pro-Palestinian, a stalwart supporter of Palestine, as he puts it. But at the same time, he's putting out these statements that aren't matching up with being pro-Palestinian. So, anyways, his audience began to turn on him because of this stuff, and he didn't understand why. And basically, he's sort of nuked everything since then. He nuked his relationship. He nuked the show Leftovers. He nuked his relationship with Hassan. But that was sort of like a slow moving train wreck is how I would describe that. But you could see it. Anybody that knew Ethan could kind of see this coming from a mile away. But what it has turned into at this point is on a whole nother level than anything I've ever seen from Ethan, and really just in general. This is like really on a level of, makes me question everything about internet personalities. It makes you question, how is, if you're online, if you're an online personality, is it only a matter of time before you just lose it and go completely nuts? Because that is definitely what appears to have happened in this case. And so I want to start tonight off by just pointing out once again what is the language, and what is it that Ethan Klein is doing on a regular basis that has his fans giving him a lot of negative feedback, which he loves to blame Hassan for. But as you'll see in this stream tonight, he really is just nitpicking at anything he can try to find about Hassan. It's clearly not about whatever he said the main issue was to begin. Oh yeah, Hassan's a terrorist. Hassan's a terrorist sympathizer. All these horrible things, but then, as you'll see today, he's not talking about that. He's sort of moved on from that talking point, because that's all these things are. They're talking points he uses to attack Hassan because he has this spiteful hatred of Hassan. And that's fine if you hate somebody, but when you turn it into a hate campaign that's like intertwined with your clear crash out, what that's going to do is like, it's kind of like he's the Pied Piper to all the other people that are probably unstable mentally, and those are the people that he knows are gonna go after and do weird behavior, stalking and death threats and all of the above. So that's why I cover this, is because it's dangerous when creators start going down these hate campaigns, and there's just so much negative stuff like this going on internet, on the internet in general, and especially with these creators. We're really seeing like a toxic culture come out of all these like big creators. So I think it's very relevant to talk about, especially when they also have sort of this like cult following that is sort of willing to do their bidding. And what kind of responsibility do creators have to control their audience? It's something that's been talked about a lot before, but you always have to discuss it again when these things come up. So let's check in with Sean DeBlack here, and let's see what Ethan had to say about this. Was during them talking about the whole making Hassan go to Gaza thing, and what that really is a dog whistle for. We'll get into that as well.
It's not a war zone, it's a genocide.
Oh, it's not a war zone, so we can't say that it's a war zone?
It's a genocide. That's what he said. He said it's not a war zone, it's a genocide.
That's not woke enough?
He's going to say it's not a war zone, it's a killing field.
No, that's what he's saying. It's not a war zone, it's genocide.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you deny that? Are you denying that?
You can go.
Okay, call it whatever you want. It's dangerous. I admit that.
No, it's not call it whatever you want. It's not a call it whatever you want thing. There's a very, very clear distinction. You wouldn't call the Holocaust a war zone, because that would be insane. You would call it what it is, a genocide. And I know for a fact, if somebody like Bana Banada called the Holocaust a war zone, Ethan Klein would be the first person on his ass. Be like, oh, how dare you not call the Holocaust a genocide? But like now it's like, oh, like, yeah, call it, if I say war zone or genocide, what's really the difference here? Call it what you want to. No, it's not call it what you want to. It's call it what it is. Yeah, like you would not call it the Great German Jewish War of 1939. And if somebody calls it that, they're not.
Yeah, there's a reason we use certain words. Words have meaning, words have power. And that's why, those from the Israeli state government and the propagandists that they sent out to the different media groups, they're very vehemently deny the word genocide. They do not want that word being used. They hate it. And there's a reason. And so you see how that propaganda is instilled in Ethan because he has trouble with that word being used. Oh, killing field. Oh, well, call it what you want. It's dangerous. Well, call it what you want. How about we call it what it is? How about that? And as he mentioned, it's a genocide. Like, come on, guys.
Nazi. And you should excise them from society. If somebody ever refers to the Holocaust in neutral terms, you know what to do with people like that. They're Nazis. Just like if people talk about the genocide in Gaza in neutral terms, you know what to call those people. The answer is Nazis. How you call them Nazis?
Yeah, so, whenever Ethan wants to wonder why people give him shit, why his own fans give him shit, it's comments like that. It's little things he says like that, which I know they don't even like show up on his radar as anything. He doesn't think it's a big deal, but obviously to his fans and other people, it does have meaning. Words do have meaning, and there's a reason that some people don't want to call it a genocide, and it's pretty clear who those people are supporting. Now, I know Ethan and Hila post about saying they don't like the government in Israel, but why? Let's hear the reasons why. Can you explain exactly what they're doing wrong that makes you want to get a different government? I want to hear you articulate why, because I thought when the protests were going on prior to October 7th, I just assumed it was because of the way they were treating Palestinians, but come to find out it had to do a lot more, or even 100%, with the fact that he has, bribery, corruption, your typical bad politician type stuff. And probably the fact that he's like managed to make himself basically prime minister for life. Of course, all of those things are bad things, but the point is the Israelis, at least the vast majority of them, don't seem to not like Bibi because of the Palestinian situation. It seems to be for other reasons. And if that's not the case, if it has to do with the Palestinian stuff, I would just like to hear Ethan discuss that more. What specifically are they doing wrong? Why is it dangerous? Why do people call it a genocide? Why do people care about the Palestinian viewpoint and position if you're pro-Palestinian? But anyways, let's get deeper into this. And, what this whole conversation is regarding. Now, keep in mind, who's approaching who? Who's talking about who first in this? Ethan is talking about the whole going to Gaza thing and how it's just a joke. It's not a big deal. And maybe it started out that way. Sure. But it certainly has turned into this, like, anytime someone talks about Hassan in the little H3 snark Reddit, it turns into, oh, I wish he'd just go to Gaza. Oh, let's send him to Gaza. He's thinking about going to Gaza, which it's bad to even joke about it. It's like AB baiting people on Instagram with by posting Free Palestine. He just totally unaware of how ridiculous he's being. It's along those lines, right? It's just not something funny to joke about to begin with. But then it certainly has turned into more than that. And let's listen in on Mr. Ethan. Mr. Ethan De-Klein.
Oh my God, you guys. So this is the joke. It's very funny. And so now here he is trying to miss.
Do you think something's very funny when you're talking about it in that tone? It's very funny, guys. Come on. Tell me it's funny. Like, it's just pathetic the way he's like trying to force his jokes on people. It reminds me of like the all these right wing comics that are trying to force their like anti woke comedy down everyone's throats.
Listen to how he's trying to frame this now. Dark ass loser.
Initially, Ethan and Hila apparently have been talking about like sending me to Gaza.
Okay, like, please give me a fucking break,
what?
bro. No, but this is what he does with everything. He does this with everything. We're joking about how he's a coward. He got all the credit in the world for thinking of going to Gaza,
Oh
but then
my
when he found out he
God,
couldn't
I
get
haven't seen this yet.
well, it's new. It just happened. March.
I love the delusional laugh. Like this is like some like they got like this big major own in the bag, and it's like this is all in your head, guys. This whole conflict about Gaza, about all of it, like you're winning in your mind, and that's really about it. This isn't the big own that you think it is.
17. It happened 4 days ago.
And the irony of this, them talking about this right around the time that the gentleman, the documentary, the Oscar-winning documentary maker was just targeted and killed. For them to, they have no, they're so detached from reality. They have absolutely lost touch with everything. So they don't understand the timing, and it's just sad.
Excited he finally remembered my name, but then
Did he forget what's her name?
he never says my name. But yeah,
he
Awkward. Moving right along. I like how he didn't respond to that. I don't think that was part of the script. I don't think Etha really gets Etha. I just combined them. We have the new combination name of Ethan and Hila. It's Etha. But yeah, I don't think they're on the same page, and that was a pretty weird comment to make. Like, why do you care if he says your name? Why do you need him to say your name? Isn't the problem that he talks about you guys? I thought the problem is that your guys' name is in his mouth at all. I thought that's part of the problem. Or is it just Hila specifically? He needs to say her name more and say Ethan's name less. Is that what she's looking for? I don't know, man. But that is a weird ass thing to say. I have to. Oh shit, dog. What did I lose? We're good? Okay, we're good. Anyways, moving on.
He doesn't like to.
I think he's saying because you said you'd pay for it last time we were talking about it.
Who said they pay for it?
I think he's.
Oh my god. Okay. He literally froze. Who said what? Who? Because he had nothing. Ethan had nothing to say right at that moment. AB, I have to say, I think he's low key coming in with a little gut check, a little jab there. Shout out to AB, man. I appreciate you, because this guy needs some kind of live fact checking going on. Something to break this man out of his delusion. Who said he'd pay for him to go to Gaza? What are you talking about?
He doesn't like to.
I think he's saying because you said you'd pay for it last time we were talking about it.
Who said they pay for it?
I think he's referring to last time you were saying you would even pay for it to prove that he's lying. You pay for his trip.
I don't think. Yeah, I would. First of all, I would. I don't think that's
in relation to Muda, because that's what he said.
Muda said that, yeah. But anyway, the money doesn't
remember.
matter. Obviously,
Right.
he's fucking rich. He could afford to go there if he wanted.
Is that what someone else said? Funny. The deflection was hard right there. Hard deflect. And I bet you he got chewed out off camera for that. Guarantee that.
But the point is, he's like, they couldn't offer me security assurances, so I'm not going. It's like, yeah, dude, Anyway, you guys know the fucking joke.
Yeah.
The joke is that he got all the kudos for saying he's thinking about it, and then when he's like, "Oh, actually, you know what? It's a little too dangerous. I'm not gonna go." Then all of a sudden, it's like he doesn't want to talk. He's like, "Yeah."
He got all the kudos.
It's like that's the whole fucking point. That's why it's brave.
Oh my god. They gave him all the awards and the trophies, and they give him all the attention and all the kudos. He got all the kudos. Dude. This man, I always have to point this out, but anytime you freeze frame it, this guy looks like a crazed serial killer. Just looks like it. Just looks like a crazed serial unaliver, man. And he worries me. He worries me. Like, this is not normal behavior.
To go to Gaza because it's dangerous, because it's a war zone. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, here he is talking about it.
And
one more time.
Ethan and Hila.
One more time.
But initially, Ethan and Hila apparently have been talking about like sending me to Gaza,
Oh
and
my
and
God.
like,
I can't get over that.
It's insanely fucked to even. It's just fucked up, man. You wonder why people are frothing at the mouth about us.
Wow.
He's acting like we're here like, oh man, let's ship him off to Gaza.
I'm gonna send him to my disappearing island where I send everybody
exactly.
that disappears.
Now, this is why it's important what AB just did, because he specifically pointed out, I think he's referring to when you said you'd pay for my trip to go out. If he didn't say that, we'd have no context, right? The viewers would have absolutely zero context as to what Hassan was talking about or referring to. Unless you saw it as well. But even then, these viewers don't care. Like, let's be real. But anyways, continuing.
Exactly.
made a joke about it.
Lots of
Because like I've talked to Palestinian journalists and they've like wanted me to come out.
Really? Wow. Oh my God.
And I can't get any security assurances against Israel, obviously.
Well, bro, it's not like Israel
that is worried
Look,
about.
it's not like Israel's going to do a precision strike on Hassan. They don't fucking.
Yeah,
but
I
it is.
It's Israel that he's worried about? Really? The disconnect here. The disconnect from reality. Yes, Israel has killed like over 100 reporters since October 7th. And I think it's like the most reporters like ever killed in such a short amount of time in like any recent war. It's crazy numbers. It's something ridiculous, but that just blows my mind, and they're just so detached from reality. And I mean, the one thing that if I'm trying to give them some grace is it's clearly just the media they're consuming. If they're watching news, like they're clearly not watching it like daily or that frequently. And then when they are watching it, they're probably watching primarily Israeli news sources. And then if they're watching American stuff, it's probably like CNN or someone that's going to give you a pretty pro-Israeli. They're not seeking out any sort of alternative narrative. So they really are not getting, they're still propaganda brain. They still don't have a full scope. That's why they don't understand it. That's why they've had to turn this attack on them and into something else. It's like it's like Tim Pool. It's everyone else. It's not me. And it's like, sorry, it is you, but people never realize it when it's them, right? Or it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work to figure that out. And, that's all you can really do with him at this point is hope that he eventually reflects. But the other thing that he needs to do, or he needs to stop doing, is just vicious attack, vicious outward attack. If you want to disagree with people, if you want to have conversations about those disagreements, then don't do that. Do that. Don't do this weird, constant parasocial from a distance attack. Hassan already said he talked to you. You don't need to have any weird conditions about talking to him. Just talk to him. Anyways.
It's dangerous. It's a war zone. Like, I agree, it's dangerous.
Sure, it's a war zone.
They may.
But what?
He was in the running for anti-Semite of the year. They may.
Nah,
I don't think you guys understand Israel. It doesn't work like that.
They're not. It's not. But regardless,
it's not like that. They literally just murdered Hassan's friend this week. The dumbassery that is going on here, the level of tomfoolery, the level of idiocracy, it's just like so ironic and so like it's hard not to get really just doomer pilled from this shit because they're so clueless. Like literally an Oscar winning journalist. Which episode is this from? I don't even know. This might have came out the day before, but it's like I said, they've killed hundreds of reporters already. So Israel doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Bullshit, it doesn't work like that. And you guys have enough information to there's no excuse on that one. I really the empathy runs out when they say shit like that because you know that they target. You have no excuse not to know that they target reporters from every country.
I agree it's dangerous, right?
Yeah.
It's dangerous in a war zone.
Right.
Not because Israel will target him.
I don't think it's like that personally, but I think he's giving himself a little too much credit there. That being said, it's being Israel.
A Muslim dude named Hassan, known for his leftist politics in America, known for saying controversial things. You have been spreading. Dude, I honestly would not be surprised if Ethan's reached out to the government. Now, this is total me just shit posting or whatever, but I've thought about it. I'm like, the way he's acting, it would not surprise me to the slightest if he sent emails to ICE or the Trump administration. Because think about it, he was going after Tom Clancy, he's going after CEOs, trying to convince everybody that this man is a terrorist sympathizer, and not only that he should be deplatformed, but that any CEO running the platforms that he's on should also be deplatformed. So, or not deplatformed, but lose their jobs. So if he's going to that level, I would not be surprised if he was sending letters off to ICE, sending letters off to the Trump administration saying, look, this guy's a terrorist. He's working with Hamas. Look at this website. It's Hamasabi.com, and look at all this shit, and trying to convince them. It sounds crazy, and I would hope that he wouldn't do something like that, but this man is at a level of derangement that nothing would really surprise me at this point. All I can say is I hope he would not go to that level, and I'm not accusing him of doing that either, but it wouldn't surprise me, not even a little bit.
Israel is bombing the fuck out of Gaza right now, which is a horrible humanitarian tragedy that's happening. And it would be dangerous to go there. I agree. That's why war journalism is brave and admirable, because it's dangerous. And you're risking your own safety to showcase the horrible truth that's happening on the ground.
Boots on the ground.
That's literally boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground. The fuck? Shut the fuck up.
Isn't this funny, guys? It's funny. It's funny.
Aspects of it, maybe.
Obviously, and that's
the joke is funny.
Major reason why security assurances against Israel, obviously, and that's like the major reason why.
It's funny to me that he says Israel, obviously, because like I mean,
I wouldn't hang around
trust Hamas either. Sure, but
I think.
okay.
Oh, she don't like that. She don't like that he's blaming Israel as the reason. She really don't like that. That's funny. She's like, but at the same time, it's funny because they agree with him. They admit that it's dangerous. There's really not any like, I don't know what the real criticism is or the real, his criticism or his gripe is that Hassan got kudos for saying he might go. And then what happened was that went from a little joke and it turned into a whole dog whistle for wanting the dude to die. And you know what? It's not surprising because I've seen Destiny do a similar dog whistle, same exact one with Hassan. He was saying we should pay for him to join the Houthis or something, and then we would all join the Navy and go over there and yada 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 type shit. So it's not surprising that he would say something that his community would, and that it became a trending dog whistle to say. It's not surprising.
They're both dangerous.
Yeah, they both.
But also,
are.
I don't care. Listen. It's dangerous regardless. Whoever it is, there's lots of danger there, right? It's for.
Regardless, what does that even mean in this context? Like, this man is demented. Like, look at him. Demented.
Sure. I wouldn't exactly. I mean,
incredibly dangerous. It's not because of like Hamas or anything.
Okay, it's like, okay, who cares?
Okay.
You know what
Okay.
I mean, Hamas is psychotic.
That had to have been bait. Like, I'm sorry. He knew that was gonna piss them off, and it is. It's showing their bias. It's so easy to trigger their bias. Like, oh, okay, we know the bad guys are. It's not Israel. It's Hamas. Haha. Very funny, Hassan. It's funny that they think that he would be killed by Hamas when he's there for the Palestinians and he's, of Muslim heritage. I'm pretty sure it would be the IDF that would be targeting him, like, for multiple reasons. Mostly because he's a journalist that's pro-Palestinian. That would be the biggest one of all.
They're fucking jihadists, bro. Yes, they're dangerous.
I mean, they managed to keep the hostages alive. You can go be in the tunnels, I'm sure.
He's a high-value hostage for Hamas. He's an American citizen.
Right.
She's still saying to send him. They're responding to a video about him saying they want to send him to Gaza, and they're denying it. And they're also actively still saying it while they're denying it. This is awesome. The irony, the level of, like, they are deep with their levels of irony. Like, it's like a 65-layer cake at this point.
They've kidnapped Arabs and Muslims before.
If he's actually just worried about the Israeli side, like, seriously, they can take him to the tunnels and he'll be safe.
If he entered through Rafah, which is the
Dude, she is not fucking around. She sounds murderous. I ain't even lying.
Egyptian crossing, and just went into Gaza like that, I think there's probably a more likelihood that he'd be kidnapped by Hamas.
I'm serious. If he thinks that way, they can take him to the tunnels. He'll be safe in the tunnels. Some dark shit.
Then precision striked by Israel.
Yeah.
But regardless, it is dangerous either way. Yeah, I mean, look into it. They've kidnapped fucking a few of the people that they took hostage and killed on October 7th were Arabs, Israeli Arabs, Muslims.
And these guys still like make a joke about it, and I think that joke plays a very nefarious purpose of
Making fun
it
of
seem
you?
as though it's like making it seem as though like I think in their minds they're just basically saying like, oh, you're too much of a pussy.
Yes. Yes. And therefore, let's just scale back on the kudos, okay? And pretending like you're going to go there for clout.
It really is the kudos. That is the problem. That is the heart. That is the root of the problem. Scale back, internet. Scale back, fans. Scale back, people. Hassan, scale back your fans on your kudos. Shut the hell up. This is incredibly parasocial behavior.
It's literally what happened. He pretended he was going to go to Gaza for clout. And he's like, ooh, dangerous.
Or whatever. But the underlying hidden premise there is that like Gaza actually is totally safe from Israeli bombings.
No, it is
No.
not. That's literally
Quite the opposite. We did say that it's dangerous.
But where's he even getting that?
It's a war zone. It is dangerous.
But where's he even getting that? How is the implication that it's not safe from Israeli bombings? It's absolutely fucking not safe from Israeli bombings.
Seemed like that was cut.
Like what?
Wasn't the whole sentence.
I just
of what he
just
said.
look at they are evil, especially her.
Oh,
But like he's just
Yeah.
lying. He's just overtly lying about us.
especially her. It's
hates
like,
it.
yeah, that's
Not to be
that's-
over dramatic, but couldn't this be received as a threat to you? What?
Mm-hmm.
They literally say you should risk being murdered or else you're a phony. Why don't they go there? Well, because it's dangerous. It's gross. Keep making the jokes, guys. So gross. Israel will try to execute you. Free vacation, I guess. Blah blah blah. So you see, I mean, it's just pathetic.
And
But yeah,
I don't like
he does create this narrative that Israel will try to execute him. It's like,
I
dude,
think-
they don't know who you are.
I totally agree. I don't think Israel gives
If
a
some
fuck
people
about us.
online know who you are, that doesn't mean anything about like the army, the government, da da da.
I don't think Israel gives a fuck about.
I don't think it would be wise to risk it. God, these people are so insane.
Hassan Piker. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but regardless, it is dangerous if you go there.
Maybe you're wrong.
like that. I don't like that because it's like basically a thinly veiled threat almost.
How?
Where it,
How? Now I've threatened him for joking that he's a babe, that he's like fake, pretended to think about going to Gaza for clout. How's that a threat? What is happening? What is this like magic fairy dust? He's like a threat. This silly ongoing joke on the show it's now a threat, guys.
It's really interesting how we just cannot criticize him.
And then
Whatever we dare to say about
It's
him
all
in
you
a
do.
criticism manner, we are a threat. We are backing genocide. We're children killers. Myself, that's what they say about me. It's like, no, I'm just criticizing you. I'm allowed to criticize you and still want good
And
stuff to
they're
happen for
just
Palestine.
criticizing
Like, I can
you.
do both.
just look at the chat, by the way, and people wonder why CPS and all these people are so frothed up to and fucking hate us. I mean, bloodthirsty, vile children killers are
There.
dreaming about getting people killed. What a surprise!
What reality do they live in?
It's literally
It's
just a silly
crazy.
joke.
We're just criticizing you.
It's barely. I mean, yeah, it's literally just a silly joke.
comes across like a fucking pager
It comes across as a pager joke.
How?
joke. You know what I mean?
No, I don't.
How? Because I'm Israeli?
I don't know. I actually don't even understand his logic.
It's not a war zone. It's a genocide.
Monster 1 and Female Monster 2.
Oh, it's not a
despicable.
war zone, so we can't say that it's a war zone? That's not woke enough?
He's going to say it's not a war zone. It's a killing field.
No,
Whatever.
that's what he's saying. It's not a war zone. It's
very different.
genocide.
Okay, you can go.
Okay, call it whatever you want. It's dangerous. I admit that, right? So disgusting.
They don't want to admit it. Hila doesn't want to admit it. She doesn't want to call it a genocide. They want to go along with the propaganda from Israel that it's a war. And that this is a war against Hamas and Israel when they are killing like 95.555% citizens. That is not a war. That is a genocide. And that is how cowards fight war, by just carpet bombing an entire population. It's not right. It doesn't matter who the population is.
I feel like I'm watching them go through active psychosis.
Go to a war zone.
Is Hila the evil one and Ethan is the dumb one? That's a narrative
Yes.
I see coming out
Yes.
a lot. Yeah.
Clip that, yes.
They really are disgusting human beings. How deeply shameful and loser-like of them as a couple. I mean, sure, if we did anything close to what he's saying.
Oh.
Not allowed to criticize
The comments
them.
are actually unhinged. They might as well be doing a pager joke towards you. What?
It's like almost like a individually crafted.
What's with all the pay faces? I don't understand.
I'm sure there's some kind of hidden meaning to that. Didn't Hila serve in the IDF?
Yes.
Of course she's a baby killer. Of course it's a threat. She wants you to go and die.
What? Wait.
What is this logic that these people built in their head?
Wait, I'm just confused because I keep seeing this. What is the logic in saying that it is a threat? Because I keep seeing people say that. I don't know. I don't understand.
Well, they're operating under the fact that you said that you're trying to send him there, which never happened.
I'm good. What am I trying to like kidnap him in the night?
Those
like
words never.
I think
fat camp or
because
something?
that's what they're trying to portray.
Like if I was trying to do that, then yeah, you could accuse me of him.
Right,
trying
if
to get him
that
murdered,
was the
for
case,
sure.
exactly.
But
It's also like the Jews run everything kind of vibe I'm getting, because like, yeah, we'll send him to Israel and we'll get some.
That's the kind of vibe I'm getting. That's the vibe I'm getting from it. Oh, I cannot take her. She is so delusional. I gotta get some water. I'll be right back. All right, let's get back to these damn fools.
Somebody to kill him.
There's
Like,
somebody
what
in
are you
Mossad
talking
waiting
about?
for you, buddy.
I don't know anybody there except my family.
I called 1-800-Jew call now.
Yeah. I haven't
you,
been there in
Jews.
so long. Like last time I went was a few years ago. I visited my mom. I
These
literally don't know anybody there.
These fantastic morons wouldn't go to Gaza.
She's talking like I haven't even talked to anybody there. I couldn't get you killed that easily. Would have to take a few calls. It'd take a little work. I'd have to get a hold of my old cousin. Like, come on. You called the city that you went on a raid a terrorist city, and that wasn't back then. That was during your career as a podcaster. So the bias is clear. Like, there's just no denying it. And, you know, I wish they could just both, you know, be honest about their bias that they hold, which Ethan has said before. He's biased towards Israel, but he hasn't, like, he doesn't argue from that perspective. Like, you know, he pretty much acts like, yeah, he's biased towards Israel, but that is the only, like, correct bias to have. He doesn't, you know, he doesn't come from a humble, charitable position when he goes into discussions about it. And then he makes everything personal. He makes everything about the Israel-Palestine conflict personal. Oh, when I hear this saying or I hear that word, it means genocide all Jews to me. You can't say that. Like, he just internalizes all of it. I think that's part of the other reason why it's made him, like, it seems to have worn on his health and his mental state greatly this entire ordeal since it started. It's been hard on him. There's no doubt about it. And, you know, I think it's because he internalizes it, makes it personal, but it's very, like, it's such a narcissistic thing to do and just make it all about yourself. And you know, I'm glad we're not like in that specific phase anymore of this crash out, but this isn't even better. We're in the really parasocial phase where he's just nitpicking and attacking every little thing he can about Hassan and being a hypocrite and, you know, saying he can't have a maid, and, you know, we'll get to all that.
Either it is a threat. Oh, no shit, I wouldn't go to Gaza, bro. I'm not being like, hey guys, I'm actually thinking about going to Gaza. Like, oh my God. And then I just sit here and bask in everyone being like, oh my God, he is actually thinking about going to Gaza. Yeah.
Like, I hope your pager goes off type joke.
Yeah, didn't say that.
They know what they're doing. It's also funny when they dick ride Israel so hard, but they're also like, yeah, go ahead, Hassan.
Never.
When did we dick ride Israel?
Never.
See what happens.
We
yeah,
never
that's what Israel,
did. Like,
exactly.
That's what you've been doing. That's this entire episode that you've been talking. You've been carrying water for Israel. Oh, they're not the ones you should be worried about. They're not it doesn't work that way. You don't know anything about Israel. They don't target reporters when they clearly do, and you guys clearly don't know the numbers on that. Like, you are just very mistaken and so confident about it and making no effort to educate yourselves better on the topic. You need to get some new sources of media, anything you can. You need to talk to some actual Palestinian voices that can give you, you know, at least another point of view that you're not used to.
Before you even knew anything about this shit.
Before you could even, before you can even point out Yemen on the map.
Yeah.
Which was a few years ago. I think he even clicked like France.
Ethan actually voted against Bibi when he lived there. So, like, it kind of did more than you.
Yeah. They're saying that you should go there and get murdered by the Israeli death machine.
You're considering going there. Ethan lived there for 5 years.
Insane. 1,000,000% a pager.
I think Ethan has a little bit of an understanding of that conflict.
Ethan went to Gaza for 5
This is a
years.
pager joke. What are we talking about? This is like a mass delusion.
So they had.
The mass delusion is when you go through someone's chat or through all the comments somewhere and read every single one, and then take the most unhinged comments and apply them to not only Hassan but his entire fan base. You know, I don't think it's I don't think it's as big of a deal as, see, the thing, you know, there is a dogpiling nature that happens on the internet. Like, individually, one of these comments, I wouldn't, you know, saying it's a vibe of a pager attack, I don't have a problem with that comment on its own. But, like, when you see 10 people saying that in a row, and then, like, there is this, like, nature to it that makes it seem like harsher than it is, because in Ethan's mind it's like, oh God, all these people don't like me, I hate it. And it's really not that many people. Like, it is now. Like, overall, there's a lot of people that are anti-Ethan, myself being one. But I'm talking about the type that are on the internet, hate typing constantly and just going after him on a super personal level, doing things like a CPS call, that type of stuff. Like, that's way, 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 way too far. And the vast majority of people are not like that. But the problem is, when you make these really long-standing malicious attacks on someone, it brings out the crazies on both sides. So you got to be ready to deal with that, and you have to be ready to, like, accept some responsibility, especially if you're demanding that Hassan takes responsibility for everything his fans say. So you better make sure that you're going to do that on the flip side when your fans are doing the crazy shit, or you are causing direct harassment.
had posted
People want to
this.
stand by their principles. They want to be these heroic advocates, but they don't want to risk fucking anything. Hassan.
That's such a funny thing to say.
Bro, listen at least like okay.
By the way, in terms of like, they don't want to risk anything is such a funny thing to say about pro-Palestinian advocates in general. Not for me in particular.
We are talking about you.
Yeah, I'm talking about you specifically.
Also, you know,
Not for me. I personally didn't.
Well,
it doesn't cost me anything.
You know,
but other people, yeah.
Here's the thing. Hassan keeps hammering this point home, and I think it's time we start acknowledging it. He is the movement.
Mm-hmm.
If you criticize Hassan, you criticize all Palestinian activists.
Clearly.
He is the fucking movement.
Material financial loss, deplatforming.
No, see, that is like a direct sign of his delusion, and like it's also like a Freudian slip on like he feels like he's battling the movement, the entire movement. No, Hassan, I've never seen him do any sort of like purity test or anything like that. He was the one fighting for a year on your behalf, and it wasn't until you like just absolutely went over the edge and made it clear that you're gonna just keep slurping up Israeli propaganda and only talking about certain things that happen and omitting and not saying the vast majority of things that happen, and you're gonna misquote how many people have been killed, how many Palestinians have been killed. When you're gonna do all of that, like, there's no excuse. There's no empathy.
Forming threats from the federal government is nothing in comparison to like the existence of the average Palestinian in Gaza. So all of that stuff doesn't really matter.
I'm talking about you, motherfucker. I'm talking about you, dude. Here someone says Hila's a nasty bitch.
Thanks.
Ethan the martyr? No, I'm not a martyr, not at all.
And creators for at least demonstrating a little
You know
bit
what?
like a
At
fraction.
least
They really got to stop reading comments. Like, it is so bad for your health, and it's not a representation of the creator speaking. It just isn't. Like I said, otherwise you got to take responsibility for all the crazy shit your little minions are saying.
The fucking moral courage necessary to speak out against Israel.
I'm noticing though that this one really got to him, and it's just because we technically called him a pussy. Like he's such a bro. That's the worst thing you could do to him.
He's very insecure about a lot. But anyway, so you guys know the joke. You've been watching, but so that's a funny way to frame that. So there's that.
I think it's just mainly the way that you dragged it out, and it became like a dog whistle that you always, and then it becomes, and we'll pay for him to go. And it's the same thing. I seen Destiny do the exact same thing with the Houthis. But yeah, so, you know, and what it reminds me of is, how he acts when his when his own employee asks him to stop, you know, saying certain things, that his words have meaning, his words hurt people, or can, you know, turn people against him, and just trying to have some awareness about like what you're saying.
Wait, is that the one that I just said?
I hate. I'm tired of being joke policed. I'm tired of it.
Yeah,
it's not that fucking serious.
Listen, yeah,
seriously,
I agree.
just fucking leave me alone. Like, I'm tired of being joke policed about every fucking stupid thing. It's not that serious.
Okay, if this isn't like a crash out, if this isn't crash out behavior, I don't know what is. Like, he's not joking. That ain't a bit. That's really him. That is really him. And what is the joke that he's getting joke police? I think he was like going along with the Canada thing. Like, Canada should be in our next state. He was saying, yeah, they couldn't do shit. Canada isn't a real country. Like, that type of talk, which I hear a lot of people do that, and I do think it's disrespectful, you know, like, because I obviously I could see, you know, Americans wouldn't like Canadians saying something similar about us. So, anyways.
I have to agree. I wasn't here though. I didn't hear it, but I have to agree that it doesn't sound that serious.
I love you, Galia, and I respect you so much. Okay, and I understand you're trying to make a point in earnest, and I understand what you're saying is like, Karen, people are sensitive to this, and that's something I can consider for sure when I talk about it. But like,
Yes.
I'm so tired of pulling out the soapbox every fucking time I make a joke that anybody's slightly upset with.
I mean, we're
How are you
obviously
choking
not.
as you-
We're very
What's
clear.
I'm yelling.
We're very clear about the fact that we don't support Trump. So
Yes.
Nobody
I just
watching
feel-
supports Trump. Nobody. Maybe some, actually. We've found out there are.
No, there's
I mean,
yeah,
he
they're out
won.
there.
So
But we're lampooning the idea of it.
Increasing.
Wonder what she was gonna say, like what the finished sentence was there. But he won, so. But yeah, I just think this is interesting because it points out the fact that like she says we've been very clear that we don't support Trump, but that was part of the problem here is that they were like going along with Trump and his idea with Canada and saying he liked that idea. And it's just a good example of how you can say you are one thing, but your actions and your words outside of your claim about it do matter. They do have meaning. And they're just not getting it. They're like, well, we've made it very clear that we're not for Trump. So when we're going along with Trump and having a good old time and doing a little bit of trolling and owning the libs with Trump, you shouldn't take that to mean anything because we've made it clear. We've made it very clear that we're not for Trump. But he did win, so I would love to know what she was thinking, like what the next word out of her mouth would have been.
Not defending this position for the sake of like, this is my take. I'm just trying to explain you what other people feel. That's all. Like, I don't feel offended by you joking about the 51st state, but I feel like a lot of people are.
I feel like people can be offended by all different types of things, and that's fine. People are entitled to their feelings. But at the end of the day, I have to be the judge of what I'm saying as being serious or not. And sometimes I say stuff.
Oh, wow. She said how many, though? Hila's a numbers woman, okay? She's a girl boss businesswoman, and she wants to see the numbers. And if it's something like a couple hundred, maybe even a couple thousand, that's not going to affect their bottom line. But, you know, if it's more than that, we might have to, like, cater the message, trim the message down a little bit, right? That's what she's getting at there. And it's like, yeah, maybe the numbers don't matter so much as, like, you shouldn't be, like, disrespecting people's country at all. But I guarantee you it's a lot of people, a lot of Canadians. Whatever segment of your audience is Canadian, which they love American culture. Whatever segment is Canadian, I guarantee you that entire segment is offended by those comments. Like 99.9% for sure.
That's offensive and it's too far, and I acknowledge that, and I take it back, or I walk it back, or I stop doing it. This is a harmless fucking joke.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
In crazy
also,
times like this,
how many are actually upset, and how many of them are actually just narkers looking for any reason to be upset? You know, it's like
That's
we
the
gotta
other
follow. We have to follow our gut and what we feel is right or wrong.
I cannot believe we're having a serious conversation.
You
about this. I'm sorry.
personally,
I like
saying you don't care, right?
I don't
About
know
the
if I can do
joke.
this.
I sent
Even
an-
entertaining this as a serious conversation is like, I feel like
I'm with you.
unproductive.
comedy in times like this is very important in my
I need
opinion.
to go to the bathroom.
Like, it's so fucking depressing, everything.
Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. So that's, you know, it's really hard to watch that. Oh, and that reminds me that I saw a clip. And another person, speaking of being rude to the employees, another person that he's really mean to is Olivia. Whenever she does her her little presentations, her little PowerPoints, and I think just in general when she tries to talk, he just constantly interrupts her. And he kind of yells at her a lot too. Let's see. Oh, let me see if I can find this clip. Let's see. There we go. This is it. So and I don't know what all he did, cause it was he did a button. He did the button, which is where he blocks out the last 30 seconds of the show, and he might have been yelling at her more and then cut it out, or oh no, she says he did a joke that he didn't like. That's what it was. But yeah, look at this. Look at this. Look how mean he is to freaking. I mean, this is just my opinion, but you guys tell me what you think.
I buttoned it.
Ethan didn't like his joke.
Nice.
Oh, I missed it. Must have been a spicy one. Damn.
It wasn't.
All right, I'm putting.
I said,
it was
let's
just bad
imagine
joke.
this. We are on vacation. Me and my girls, we're all clean. We're going to the pool from breakfast. Someone shows up.
Did you just get my joke, AB?
No, like now hearing her say and hearing.
God, she just smiles and takes it whenever he interrupts her, and it's almost like you can like time it, like you can hear it coming. He's only gonna let her talk for a certain amount of time before he has to interrupt.
Thinking of your joke,
That's
just
what
made me laugh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And someone shows up all sweaty, like literally smelling disgusting, and we're all in the pool. And then they're like,
why are they so close to you? You can smell them.
well, because it's one pool. And we're all sharing.
Okay, they're sweaty and disgusting. I don't care. It's a giant pool, man.
Okay.
He's probably gonna pee in it.
I was just making.
That's way grosser.
Well,
I think
peeing in the pool's gross too. You shouldn't pee in
pools
the
are
pool.
gross. That's
But
why they put.
Ew. So then he picks something out of his ear, probably some earwax, and flicks it. And this is when they're having a debate about why do people, or why should you shower or rinse off before getting in a pool. And I just thought it was kind of funny because it's like these people have clearly never done pool maintenance or done with pool chemicals, and they were arguing well, actually I think it was mainly just Ethan and Dan arguing for they were arguing against it, and they're saying it's stupid, and it's like, and they were specifically talking about public pools, and there's a very good reason they have people rinse off. They have their showers and stuff and have you rinse off both before and after you get in. But before, it's to rinse off the oil and the sweat on your body, because it breaks down the chlorine faster. That little bit of rinsing it off times hundreds or times thousands of bodies going into the pool, it greatly reduces the chlorine. The chlorine usage, so it saves money. It's just mainly a money thing, but they are trying to figure out why you would do it. And the same thing applies for like your small pool at home. Usually you have to shock the pool after you have like a big pool party, and so it's good to have people to rinse off before they get in the pool, because it gets that thin layer off, and it'll hopefully save you a little bit of money on chlorine. But especially with public pools, you want to do that.
But that's why they put a shitload of chlorine in it that kills everything.
Right.
Exactly. But what's so?
Yeah, I just thought that was like another. I've noticed that he's mean to. He's mean to Olivia a lot. Like, he just interrupts her and yells at her, and she just like, you can tell she's used to it. She just takes it. And then, and another thing is, like, they were making it seem like the stuff that Hassan was doing was, like, illegal. You know, he's like a terrorist supporter, and the you know, the Reddit needs to be taken down, Twitch needs to be taken down because of Hassan, and he was really gonna try and take legal action against them. And this was part of the like turning your fans on these people, because you're basically trying to make it seem like this guy's doing something illegal, he's a criminal, and it's just not true. And I think it's interesting that it like finally came out, or they finally admitted that like they ain't gonna be able to do jack shit. But this is funny.
Work.
There's
No.
the
People
answer
like
is not on social media. It's with lawyers and reporters.
my lawyer can't do fucking shit, and it's driving me crazy.
I don't know what to tell you.
They go, oh, 2:30, you can't do anything. Really? That I can't believe that a website just allows this level of harassment, and it's just like, oh, 2:30, you can't fucking. That's just
2:30.
Section 230. They can't be held responsible for what their users post.
But
That's probably just what his lawyer told him, and that's probably just like the beginning. Because if you say something, he's letting him know that yeah, he can't. There's already not a case against the individuals criticizing you online, and so furthermore, there's also not a case. He's the way he's telling that, because individuals can be held liable for what they say online. That is absolutely a fact. So he's basically admitting two things there: that not only did he not have a case against anybody on an individual basis, but he also he never had a case to go after, you know, the platforms either. So what else? Oh, and I just thought it was interesting that, let's see, this is the director that was attacked. This is the director and the reporter. He's a director of the documentary that he did about Gaza, which I think is like one of the only documentaries. I recommend everybody watch this. No Other Land. But let me see. Oh, this is. Wait, is this is a separate issue from the gentleman that got killed, or is this the same guy? Wait a second. So one of them was attacked. Who was the one that Hassan was his friend? I think it was the same guy, was it not? Let me find. I think I have another. Believe I have another page pulled up. Let's see. Oh, yes. Hassam Shabbat, the journalist. This is not the same guy.
عايزك شعور يا خالد. الله يخليك يا قلبي يابا رد روحي لي يابا رد روحي لي يابا روحي لي. كيف كان الطريق متعب؟
Man, there's just so much death coming out of Israel. It's hard to even keep track of all of it. So yeah, this is a separate guy from another the No Other Land documentary. So are they both? No. Wow. So, and the death toll in Gaza is jumping up by like 600 or 700 just since they restarted their operation. So that's been really awesome. If you love genocide, but obviously if you don't, then you're not going to be super happy about that. The next thing I wanted to talk about, I'm trying to see if I'm done with everything H3 related. Oh, this was the did I do the marbles? This was like just yesterday. I think it was this one. I think it was just most recent.
Hassan Piker has lost all of his marbles. The marbles are gone, people. Hard hitting, man. Hard hitting calls, questioning his mental capacity.
Okay, done.
What the hell is going on with this man? He should not be questioning anyone's mental capacity. He shouldn't be saying anyone lost their marbles. This man does not look well. He's definitely on something or taking something. His eyes look bugged out. You can always tell by the eyes. I'm just saying.
Saved.
You like the marbles, or you?
Yeah.
I don't like the marbles. Hassan Piker has fully gone he has full on dementia. He has full on late stage Parkinson's.
But remains sexy.
AB doing God's work out there. This man is violently unfunny. And look at the crew. They just look worn the hell out. They are not having a good time with it. Okay, I'm sorry. So it was the Al Jazeera journalist Hassam Shabat in Gaza. So that was the man killed today. And just the other day, the man from the documentary was the one that was beat up. And I don't know if he ended up being killed as well. So it's got to stop. Wanted to cover, I think that's pretty much most of the coverage I wanted to do about Ethan. I wanted to jump into this story because this is a big one, right? This is something everybody should be talking about. If you're not talking about it, you are delusional and you're ignoring the incompetence of this administration. And let's hear what they got to say.
This just in, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, says he was
Oh no. What a do? No.
accidentally texted war plans.
Yeah, we literally just received this piece from The Atlantic, and in it, Goldberg writes, U.S. national security leaders included me in a group chat about upcoming military strikes in Yemen. I didn't think it could be real. Then the bombs started falling. CNN's Alex Marquardt joins us now live. And Alex, this piece came out literally in the last few minutes. I haven't been able to read through all of it, but this seems like something out of a farce, like out of a comedy.
It is just stunning on so many different levels. And I understand why Goldberg didn't believe it was real, because it is just shocking in several different ways. Goldberg was added to a Signal chat with some of the most senior national security members of the Trump administration. Signal is a messaging app that is encrypted, probably why these officials thought that they could have a discreet conversation on there. But on it, in this chat, that Goldberg was a...
Why don't they have like their own like military encoded, thing that they can use? Unless maybe just maybe. Oh, shout out to By Galaxy 15. Best viewers on Streamboo. Oh, okay. Thanks for the ad. Hashtag ad. Appreciate you. Sorry, I forgot what we were talking about. Oh, yeah, why don't they have their own, like, military communication lines to communicate on? The only thing I could think of, hopefully, as a good reason to using Signal, and not a good reason, but a reason that would make some sense from their perspective, at least, if they were trying to communicate in ways that they didn't want on any record, even, like, top secret government record. They didn't want it on any kind of record, so they're using this Signal app to communicate. Either that or that's their main line of communication, and if that's the case, that's truly scary that that's what our government is using. And I would not doubt that every one of our so-called opponents, or whatever you want to call it, would see that, but is probably getting our information and knows everything we're going to do ahead of time.
They witnessed to. They talk about the planning for the recent bombing of the Houthis that started on March 15th. They talk about current intelligence assessments. There's a full-on debate among these officials about whether they should carry out this bombing of the Houthis. And these are conversations that could be in violation of the Espionage Act. Now, this group was started, it looks like, by the National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, who called it the Houthi PC Small Group. PC refers to Principals Committee. The principals in the administration are the senior-most officials. And among that group of senior officials, you have the National Security Advisor, the Vice President, the Secretary of Defense and of State, the Director of National Intelligence, the CIA Director, Steve Witkoff, the Special Envoy, the Chief of Staff to President Trump, and the list goes on. There are 18 of them. So there's this debate over whether the U.S. should go through with this bombing of the Houthis. Vice President Vance is actually arguing against it, saying that just 3%.
Oh, so they're saying this entire back and forth of like whether they should do it, the entire line of communication was getting just pumped out to who knows who. Wow. Trump's got to make a move. I mean, that's got to make even his people think. They wouldn't blame Trump, of course. I'm not saying they would dare blame Trump, but they're always happy to throw people under the bus.
Of trade goes through the Red Sea, which is where the ships have been targeted by the Houthis. Ratcliffe, the CIA director, he chimes in with current intelligence assessments that may be related to intelligence operations that are ongoing. Goldberg does not print that because, of course, that, among so many other details in this, are so highly classified. Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, he chimes in saying that waiting a few weeks or a month wouldn't fundamentally change the calculus. And he notes, interestingly, that if this leaks, we look indecisive. Of course, it would eventually leak. Now, keep in mind, as they're having this discussion, Goldberg is watching all of this unfold, and he doesn't know, again, whether it's real, but he would quickly learn.
That's a great way to get your point across without like saying it directly. Hey Dan, I don't want to be rude or anything. I just want to point out what you're saying right now. If this was ever to leak, if this was ever to get out to the public, you'd really look like a big pussy. Just saying. So yeah, just, I'm just worried about leaks, We don't want to look indecisive.
That it was on the morning of March 15th, which is the day the bombings began. Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, posted a team update at 11:44 in the morning saying the bombings were about to start 2 hours later. And in that message to this large group, again, including Goldberg, he posted operational details about these strikes that were about to happen, information about targets, about weapons, and the attack sequencing. 2 hours later, the strikes started. Goldberg looked up on Twitter and he started to see explosions happening in Yemen, and that's when he knew it was true. And that's when these officials essentially started celebrating. You have John Ratcliffe, the CIA director, saying, "A good start." Mike Waltz, this national security advisor, responds with several emojis, as does Steve Witkoff, with 2 hands praying, a flexed bicep, and 2 American flags. So everyone approving of what just.
This is genuinely so weird to me that these freaking people that are like firing off bombs and ending people's lives are like sending little emojis about it. Like, I don't even send. I cringe when my mom sends me a bunch of emojis. Like, I'm not a big emoji guy. I don't care if someone is, but it's really hard for me to like understand how these guys at the highest level of government are just like shooting out emojis like super cute, freaking bombing the Houthis, boom boom. Like, this just is the worst timeline. It is really just it hurts. It hurts. And is that like every world leader now, or is that just us, or this is just all of them at this point? That's really scary.
Has happened and celebrating. The National Security Council has not pushed back on this at all. They said that this chain was in fact real. Brian Hughes, the National Security Council spokesman, says this does appear to be an authentic message chain. They are looking into how and someone was inadvertently added, how Goldberg was added to this chain, and he tries to spin it as a demonstration of the deep and thoughtful policy coordination between senior officials. So no pushback from the White House in terms of the authenticity of this. But again, this may violate the Espionage Act. Jeffrey Goldberg and his colleague Shane Harris, who's an intelligence reporter, spoke with several lawyers who say that it may have violated the provisions that govern the handling of national defense information. Bottom line, they say,
to put it on Signal.
To put it on Signal, they should not have established a Signal chat in the first place, is their conclusion, which is kind of obvious. And then the kicker of this whole piece is, as Hegseth is describing how this is going to unfold and what is going to happen, he says, we are currently clean on OPSEC, which is operational security. Clearly, they were not clean because they included a journalist in this conversation on Signal.
Okay, who was the JG who was missing, who should have been part of the conversation?
We don't know why Waltz initially reached out to Jeffrey Goldberg and added him as a contact, and then eventually added him to the group. You're absolutely right. They probably thought they were adding someone else from within the administration who had a similar name. Why this mistake happened is just the first of a very long list of questions.
Wow.
Alex Marquardt, thank you so much for bringing us this reporting. Let's talk more about this with former Defense Secretary and former CIA Director Leon Panetta. Secretary, I'm reading the piece as we speak, and it's interesting because Goldberg writes that he had very strong doubts that this text group was real. I could not believe that the national security leadership of the United States would communicate on Signal about imminent war plans. I also could not believe that the national security advisor to the president would be so reckless, he writes, as to include the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic in such discussions with senior U.S. officials. Secretary, what's your reaction to this reporting?
Well, it's obviously a very serious mistake on the part of whoever included Goldberg in this highly classified chain of command messaging that went on that involved war plans. To have had somebody from the Atlantic on that chain, without question, was a serious mistake. And I hope the White House takes this seriously, because the last thing you want to do when you're talking about war plans is to have a serious leak like this that could undermine the war plans, but also jeopardize lives. So I hope they take this seriously.
What would that look like, Secretary?
I think they would have to do a full investigation as to who included this name on that chain involving the highest officials in national security, from the president to the vice president to a secretary of defense, et cetera. How the name of a journalist was added to that list. This is just a serious blunder, and not only could violate the espionage laws, but more importantly.
Yeah, I think the important thing to point out here is obviously that name got on that list for some reason and it kind of makes you wonder if they weren't like already sharing top secret information with certain reporters, or planning to, or something along those lines. So just like I thought, they shouldn't have been on this Signal app to begin with. This is obviously them kind of like using their own means of communication outside the normal ones that they're supposed to be, that are secure for the government. I know some of these apps say they're encrypted and stuff, but there's always a way to break through. Like, it's usually like quite easy to get through these apps. So yeah, I find that really suspicious that they're even using that app.
Can undermine our national security. That's probably the greater problem, is that it reveals our most secret war plans that require that we protect that information in order to be able to conduct what is obviously a serious operation of war.
To that point, Secretary, I wonder what could have happened here if it wasn't Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor-in-chief at The Atlantic, who received this and decided to publish this story. If it had been someone else on the contact list that was added to the Signal chat, what would have been a worst-case scenario that would have put national security at risk?
Well, the worst-case scenario, I mean, thankfully, Jeffrey Goldberg just assumed that this was either a joke or some kind of mistake, and obviously didn't pay attention. But somebody who would have the United States as an adversary could reveal this information immediately to the Houthis in Yemen, that they were about to be attacked. And they in turn could have responded and attacked U.S. facilities in the Red Sea, causing casualties of our troops and of our men and women in uniform. So if it were somebody who did not have the United States' national security interests at heart, but rather had the interests of our adversaries at heart, he could have seriously disrupted these war plans.
I wonder what you make of the administration's response, framing this, not denying the story, but framing this as an example of a thorough policy discussion, a thorough discussion about how to approach policy toward the Houthis.
I mean, you get the point. Like, they're idiots, but they're not pointing out what the real further implication is. Why were they using this app? What were they hiding? And the only reason this was found out about is because it went to somebody by mistake, or a certain piece of information went out, or they broke their deal to give information, so he outed them as a source. as a leak. Either way, it doesn't make Hegseth look good. It makes it look like he's leaking information. I don't know how you're dumb enough to do something like that. That's either some drunk texting or I don't know, buddy. That's not looking good. The other thing I wanted to talk about was this trip to Usha Vance and U.S. Oh, she went by herself. Interesting. And U.S. officials to visit Greenland as Prime Minister blasts aggressive American pressure.
Is warning of American aggression ahead of a visit from Second Lady Usha Vance and other top U.S. officials. President Trump has made no secret of his ambition to take control of the island, something that he even emphasized again today at his cabinet meeting. Take a listen.
Yeah, well, not provocation. This is friendliness, not provocation. We're dealing with a lot of people from Greenland that would like to see something happen.
We don't want to make war. We want to make a little love, baby. We don't want to do anything bad. We want to just get cozy, grind up on, and come up from behind Miss Greenland and just show her a good time, you know? Man, this man is sick with it. No, it's not provocation. His bags are definitely getting puffier. He's looking more and more reptilian or amphibian. He's more of got an amphibian look to him. But yeah, more and more every day.
Happen with respect to them being properly protected and properly taken care of. They're calling us, we're not calling them.
National Security and Defense Analyst Mick Mulroy with me now. So, Mick, 8 countries border the Arctic. Why such an intense focus on taking over Greenland?
So, Kira,
it's the biggest one. It's bigger than all 8 put together, times 8, times 8,000. Yeah, this is just funny. And what a stupid angle. Why Greenland? Like, why? No, why is he doing it at all?
It's important to point out the Arctic's becoming more and more strategically important as the ice melts. There's more access to these resources that are under the ice. There's also passageways opening up that we have never seen that makes the world, quite frankly, a much smaller place. So that's why there's so much intense interest. As you said, there are 8 countries. One of them is the United States. 2 of them are Canada and Greenland, which is why I think there's such an intense focus by President Trump on these 2 countries. Of course, these 2 countries are also allies and members of NATO. So there's many other ways you could go about this other than trying to essentially force them into becoming part of the United States.
So what exactly can be a...
Yeah, we already have a military base on their island. We already are allies. Like, what? This is obviously has to do with just pure money or resource grab or trade route control. So it's just bully behavior, like straight up.
Accomplished on this trip then?
So this might backfire. Of course, most people in countries are very fervent about their nationality and sovereignty. So going there under these ideas that we want Greenland to become part of the United States might just solidify opposition to becoming part of the United States by the people that live in Greenland. So it is a risky move, certainly, and there's many other ways to go about this other than trying to force them either economically, like in the case of Canada, or just essentially purchasing potentially Greenland, other than the way we're doing it.
All right, Mick, I just saw some text messages.
Pretty much anything at all, other than what we're doing right now would be better than what we're doing right now is basically what I'm getting at. Jeez, man, they take the longest road to just saying this guy's an idiot. Just take forever to get there.
Messages from you. I just want to totally shift gears here for a moment. I hope you're okay with that, and the producers as well, because it's this breaking news story about the Atlantic reporter that got on this chat via Signal with Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth, and learning all these
oh wow, I didn't even know that many people were on it.
Details about striking Yemen, targets, a date of the attack, etc. You're a former CIA guy. How the heck could something like that happen? And is it normal operating procedure to talk about war plans on Signal?
No, it isn't. And I think anybody with a fair view of this would say it's unacceptable, and it was unnecessary. All these individuals, these are the principals of the CIA, of the Defense Department, the National Security Advisor. They have access and have approved devices that can talk classified material with them. There's no reason to use your own personal device or government device that has Signal, which is a commercial application, on it. You could simply use what's issued to you. So there's really no excuse for this. You do not talk, certainly, war plans on unclassified, unapproved means. And if this was anybody else down the chain of command, there's likely to be a significant investigation and people would be held responsible.
It's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. And boy, would I have loved to have been on that text chain. Talk about scoop. Mick Mulroy, appreciate you. Thank you so much.
It's a kind of a weird thing to say, like it's like sensitive military data. I don't think you should or want to be on there, but anywho. All right. Whew, I didn't realize how tired I'm, man. I'm barely keeping my eyes awake.
Ready? Set.
That might be it for me, folks. Let's see what else do we got? Can probably cover maybe a couple more little stories here. Oh yeah, this is pretty crazy. These so I'm sure you know about the whole Elon Musk thing going on, and of course the left is being blamed by Elon and everybody on the right for firebombing and attacking all his dealerships. But I find it interesting that he doesn't think that maybe it could be some of the 60,000 people he got fired overnight from their federal jobs. I don't think that's like one specific political party. I think a lot of those people are like kind of everyday type, like, white collar jobs. So I find it, kind of interesting that it's automatically just the left's fault. And of course, Elon Musk doesn't look at anything he does to stoke division, to stoke all these issues. You can't just steal 60,000 jobs and not expect people to be upset with you. And I don't condone any sort of violence or vandalism. I'm here to point out how many peaceful protesters are here, and the vast majority are. But it gets to a certain point where, you get enough people hating you, and then every once in a while the crazies come out too. But it certainly doesn't represent the left as a whole, and it doesn't. It's not going to scare us into stopping our boycott of Tesla. He needs to have consequences when he just robs people of their career, of their livelihood, without notice, without any sort of process. Much like the Trump administration is sending people to El Salvadorian prisons, super mega prisons, without any due process as well. So that's another thing. But this is some protesters here. And let's see what a Trumper does. Let's see what this Trumper does that's here at this protest. Oh! That lady wasn't taking shit. Did you see her? She wasn't about. She's the only one that had the balls. Damn, you can hear that thing from a long ways away, or kind of far away. I like how the one guy just was like, huh? It was kind of like not the strongest. It was kind of a half-assed taser. I think he was probably trying to scare the shit out of him. But who freaking sticks a taser in an old lady's or an elderly, somewhat elderly lady's face? Well, he messed with the wrong elderly lady. She's going for the takedown. She goes for the beanie grab, which is a really good move. Always a good move. Oh! I heard a bang on the car. Did she get the full head slam? Let's see that again. We gotta check that out. I hear a bang on the car for sure. I don't know if it was a head bang. Some nice Trump artwork here in the back. ADD, but she had a nice grip on the beanie. That was a strong play right there. Strong move. Fuck around and find out, buddy. Most of these guys that are gonna show up at these events to hurt people are big talk on the internet and big pussies in real life. I gotta say it. I'm just gonna say it. And then there's another guy that ran over someone. I don't know if anyone was seriously injured or killed or anything. I don't think so. But yeah. So, you know, you're claiming the left is doing violence, but now you're stoking violence on the left. And we've seen 2 attacks already. And the different Trumpers, like, I can't call it anymore. Like, it's every type of person you could imagine is a Trumper nowadays. Like, I don't know what the hell happened, but it is scary. So yeah, that happened. I thought that was kind of funny, to be honest. That was a funny video. I would consider that a funny video. Little update on the El Salvadorian prison. The judge says of the Trump administration that Nazis got better treatment. Speaking of the Alien Enemies Act deportations. An appeals court is hearing arguments over the use of the Alien Enemies attack. I guess let's hear the video.
Deportation, saying federal appeals judge pushing back on the Trump administration's deportation, saying alleged Nazis got more respect from the U.S. during World War II than the Venezuelan migrants shipped to El Salvador. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kira Phillips. That's our top story this hour. Right now, the D.C. Circuit Appeals Court is hearing arguments over the Trump administration's use of the centuries-old act of 1798 for those deportations. Judge Patricia Millett, the justice nominated to the circuit by Barack Obama, started the hearing by calling out the Trump administration's move to use the wartime authority. She argued that the alleged Nazis were given hearings and subject to established regulations, while the alleged members of the Tren de Aragua were given no such rights. Here's her argument.
But the point here was that there were plane loads of people. I mean, it's a class action. There were plane loads of people. There were no procedures in place to notify people. Nazis got better treatment under the Alien Enemy Act than has happened here, where the proclamation required the promulgation of regulations, and they had hearing boards before people were removed. And yet here, there's nothing in there about hearing boards. There's no regulations, and nothing was adopted by the agency officials that were administering this. People weren't given notice. They weren't told where they were going.
Well, this, of course, comes in response to the hundreds of Venezuelans flown to that notorious prison in El Salvador over the weekend under the policy, despite a verbal order from the federal judge, James Boasberg, who called for those planes to turn around. The Venezuelan migrants eventually landed in El Salvador, and you can see the images here that were captured of them being led into the prison in chains and shackles, their heads fully shaved. Let's bring in senior White House correspondent Selena Wang, also senior.
Yeah, I'm just not believing the gangster, that those are all gang members narrative. They show pictures of MS-13 and Tren de Agua gang members at that prison and elsewhere. They have a ton of face tats, neck tats, and I'm not seeing enough like the pictures of them going in, there was like one person that had any tattoos that were visible. So that is a big red flag, and I don't think those guys are all gang members. In fact, I heard a story today. Hopefully I can find it for the stream tomorrow, but I heard a story about a gay, he's a makeup artist, and this guy is not a gang member. Like, it's quite obvious he's not. So they sent him. They found out that he got sent. So I don't know how they're figuring out who people are. I guess they're just doing it from the video itself. But that's scary, man. Hopefully these people get their due process and get their day in court. And I really wonder how many of them are like totally legal to be in our country and are just being kicked out for no real reason. I'm gonna be pretty pissed, especially when that starts happening on a mass scale. That's not going to be okay.
Washington correspondent Devin Dwyer. So, Devin, what stands out to you so far from the hearing? I know you've been listening to it since it started.
Truly extraordinary and riveting hearing, Kira. I mean, these are the types of arguments, as one judge said just a few moments ago, that are unprecedented. Both sides using that word today in this debate. A lot of tough questions for the Justice Department attorney defending President Trump's late-night secret signing of that proclamation. Remember, it wasn't published, and quickly shuttling these people out of the country without so much as any due process, landing in a third country. Today, you heard that judge, Patricia Millett, well respected here in Washington, appointed by Barack Obama, but simply trying to get some answers as to what sorts of process was available to these men. She conceded that the president has broad power under the Alien Enemies Act to remove people suspected of undermining the United States. She said perhaps these were those people. But even in the few rare instances in our history when it has been invoked, there has been some process to allow a chance for those people to say, hey, I'm not a Nazi, or hey, I'm not a member of that gang. That did not happen here. Kira, one of the judges on this three-judge panel was appointed by President Trump, Judge Justin Walker. He took an interesting line saying that both sides had actually found some common ground. He says that the government concedes that those men had an opportunity to contest their findings. It just, their detention, it just didn't come in this case. That's called an habeas process, when you can go to a court. So one remarkable headline so far today is that the Trump administration seems to be saying that if you're detained detained under the Alien Enemies Act. You can go to court, just it didn't work the proper way in this instance. They're pushing back. The argument is ongoing, Kira, and whatever this three-judge appeals court panel decides could have a significant impact on these types of deportation flights going forward.
The White House official says President Trump is meeting with his cabinet and Elon Musk today. Meanwhile, the legal fight over the deportation of hundreds of Venezuelans heads to court. Now the president is announcing secondary tariffs on Venezuela, accusing the country of sending, quote, tens of thousands of high-level murderers and other violent criminals to the U.S. Let's bring White House correspondent Karen Travers for more. Karen, what's the latest on this cabinet meeting?
The White House says that the president is convening his cabinet to just get a check.
Had my son's baseball game earlier, so I'm exhausted from yelling at the game. And it's past my beddy-bye time. So tomorrow will be more, and hopefully we can get past the Ethan Klein De-Klein, the crash out. He could stop attacking everybody. I'd really love for that to happen. But